Good, I just got back from being dead, so that's cool.
Why don't we start off about you telling me about your family?
I came from a distinguished Roman family. Everyone in Rome knew us, for better or worse.
What about your parents? Were they big influences?
My father, Marcus Creticus, got killed during a military expedition against pirates, and my mother, Julia Antonia, was the cousin of Julius Caesar.
What was your young life like? Did you go to school?
Because I came from a distinguished Roman family, I received a very good education that would help me in my later years and in politics. I learned a lot about public speaking and learned to solve problems from different angles.
Were your parents a big influence in your life?
Not really. After my father died, my early life was fueled by a lack of parental guidance. I spent my teenage years wandering through Rome with my brothers and friends, gambling and drinking. I don't mean to kiss and tell, but I was involved in many scandalous love affairs.
Do you have any children of your own?
Yes, I have 8 children. Antonia Prima, Marcus Antonius Antilius, Iulus Antonius, Antonia Major, Antonia Minor, Alexis Helios, Cleopatra Selene II, and Ptolemy Philadelphus.
Wow. What is your response to political enemies Cicero's claim that you were engaged in a homosexual relationship with Gaius Curo?
These claims are absolutely unfounded and a large attack on my character meant to ruin my career.
What ended up happening to him?
He mysteriously died on December 7th, 43 BC. By the way, what does BC mean?
Before Christ.
Who's that?
Never mind. What other claims that you were a member of Publius Curo's Pulcher's gang and a priest in the Lopter cult?
While it is true that I ran with a bad crowd in my younger years, I never took part in any gang activity. I also stayed away from heretical behaviors, especially cults. These are merely more rumors created to destroy me.
Regardless, you amassed a big debt in your early years.
That is true. To escape this debt, I ran away to Athens in Greece to study philosophy. I came back a few years later when I joined the military under Aulus Gabinius.
What was your first military expedition?
As a cavalry officer, I showed my usefulness by winning important victories in Palestine and Egypt.
It was Egypt, right, that you met Cleopatra?
Yes, at the time Cleopatra was only 14.
Where did you go from there?
I eventually came to serve under Julius Caesar.
Were you in a good relationship with Caesar?
Yes, we had a very close friendship. Caesar was one of my best friends. I would have done anything for him, and I'm sure he would have done the same for me.
How did you feel when he died?
I was very sad. I teamed up with Marcus Lepidus, another one of Caesar's generals, and Octavian, his adopted son and great-nephew, forming a 3-man dictatorship known as the Second Triumvirate. We defeated Caesar's murderers, the Liberatores, at the Battle of Philippi in 42 BC.
How did you feel following this victory?
It was a great feeling. I had avenged my great friend and leader. I also won great favor with the Roman people and made some very important political allies.
What did your group do next?
After our victory, the Triumvirate divided up lands between us. I, being the senior member of the group, received the largest territory, all of the eastern provinces in Gallia. It was my job to rebuild and reorganize the East after the leadership of the Liberatores. I had to spend most of my time in the East, and I returned to Athens again and started my work there.
It was around that time that you saw Cleopatra again, right?
Yes, in 41 BC, I requested that Cleopatra, who was the queen of Egypt at the time, meet me in Tarsus, Sicilia. She held a large banquet so that way we could solidify our alliance.
Your relationship kept going from there, right?
She was the most beautiful woman I had ever seen. At the meeting, we fell in love. It was like love at first sight. I would do anything for her. At her request, I even executed a man named Arsinoe.
Where did you go to next?
We spent the winter in Alexandria, where she gave birth to 2 of my children, Alexander Helios and Cleopatra Selene II. We had a 3rd child a few years later. As I grew older, I began to separate my lands amongst them.
You didn't find it weird that you were Caesar's old wife, right?
I don't think any of us really thought about Caesar when we were together. His son was important in our lives, but we never felt awkward about things. Everyone has to move on eventually, right?
Tell me about the Parthian War.
It was a major conflict between the Roman Republic, led by me, and the Parthian Empire. My good friend had planned this invasion, but he was unfortunately killed before we could carry it out. In 40 BC, the Parthians, along with the Pompeian forces, had briefly captured much of the Roman East, but I was able to defeat them in a counterattack. When I finally began the campaign against Parthia, I joined regional kingdoms, and in the end we had a total of 100,000 men. But because of a lack of a clear strategy, the campaign ended. But in the end, it became a strategic drug because peace was later negotiated with the Parthians.
How did your conflict with Octavian begin?
He started a propaganda war with me in Rome when he wanted to consolidate his power. His generals were loyal to me and betrayed him when a real war started. He launched a naval attack on me and Cleopatra's armies.
What happened on August 1st, 30 BC?
Octavian, because of how close he was to power, did not want to give me and my wife Cleopatra any time to rest. He, along with Agrippa, invaded Egypt. I did not want to be captured, and there was nowhere left to run. I believed Cleopatra had killed herself, so I stabbed myself with a sword. I had my friends bring me to her, and I died in her arms.
What ended up happening with your wife?
After that, she was captured by Octavian, and she was allowed to carry out my burial rites. She then realized that she was destined for Octavian's triumph in Rome. She decided to try to take her own life. Although it took many attempts, she finally did it, and now she is together with me in the afterlife.
Well, this is all the time we have. Thank you for spending time with us.
Thank you. It was my pleasure.